kiss goodnight at 2 o'clock, I understand. But anyway, well, we're honored that you guys came early. We want to tell you how honored we are to celebrate the 5th annual Bicycle Day event here in San Francisco. And, well, look at where we are. It's just amazing, you know, in this place. And I really feel like it's us, it's our community that has gone from, you know, a smaller to just this glorious venue. So I feel like we're just spiraling. It's just, and it comes from how beautiful we are, you know, you guys look so beautiful. So anyway, about almost 39 years ago, May 30th, a visitor came to my door. I was having a party, and he was, well, he had a bottle of Kahlua with LSD in it. And he had already drank half of it. And he offered the rest to me, and I drank it. And, well, we never left. That's it. So the rest is history, herstory. So here I'm going to hand it over to my very, very handsome, very, very sexy husband. My favorite artist, Alex Craig.
Love you. Hey, thanks you guys. Thanks for coming out. And I just wanted to remark, you guys will be the ones to know, and maybe we'll announce throughout the evening, that Jonathan Singer has done a remarkable job in projection work by creating these frames and modeling the sacred mirrors onto these kind of 3D kind of cutout frames. He's the guy that manifested also the stage, which is a kind of replica or proof of how we're going to build Entheon. Entheon is the sanctuary of visionary art that we are planning to build at COSM. And so we've been sharing with our community and everything about building this sacred space together. So we feel like whenever we go out in response to producers and things who are willing to make a contribution to the church, which is really our payment from your payment into this whole thing that makes you part of building sacred space with us. So we appreciate it. Thank you. And so this is the story, like in Passover, you have to tell the story of the Exodus and things like that. So at Bicycle Day, you have to tell the story of the discovery of LSD, because it's one of the miracles of modern science. So we're having a 2-day celebration in this ancient Masonic temple. I feel like culture and the new wave of spirituality, of those who have seen beyond the veil of the material realm and understand that there's a imaginal, creative angel that we are in partnership with. That is our imagination. And so we, the artists that are here tonight, we honor as reflections of the divine imagination. And we're really honored that so many artists and electronic musicians are here tonight as well. So thank you all for coming. So I'm talking about this painting, St. Albert and the LSD Revelation Revolution. The painting shows an alchemical angel crying tears onto the molecule that Albert Hofmann holds in his hand. Around this time, he was the man who in 1938 had synthesized LSD-25 in his research on ergots. And so his ergots now that are really a kind of fungus that grows on rye. And they look like little mushroom spores, really, you know, if you look at micrographs of them. And so he analyzed this stuff and he synthesized LSD-25 for kind of research in blood flow and maybe in birth muscles and things like that. It didn't show much effectiveness in animals on that, and so they shelved it. This was 1938. Tick-tock. 1943, April 19th, there was a spike in the novelty curve because the really first intentional LSD trip occurred at 4:20. He took this medicine, which on April 16th, he said he heard LSD calling him. And he answered the call. Because really, it's a miracle that 5 years later, in the middle of the war, he hears the voice of what I think of as an alchemical angel, you know, that says, Albert, why don't you take a look at that LSD-25 again? Take a look at it, you know? And he gets a kind of a psychedelic whiff or something on the 16th, but on the 19th, takes his first intentional dose and thinks, wait, nothing's active at these micrograms, millionths of a gram, 250 millionths of a gram, nothing is active at that level except for LSD. And that's a pretty good dose, you know, that the good doctor got for the first LSD trip. And he thought within an hour, being in the lab, that he had poisoned himself and was certainly dying. And so he couldn't stand the idea of dying in the lab. And so he thought, I have to go home. I have to go home to do it. So, but there's nothing to drive on there. It's the wartime. And so he has his bicycle. So he and his assistant take off. And he thinks he's not making any progress at all. But he's going at a pretty rapid clip and pretty accurately back to his home, which he is still panicking. And the physician next door is summoned. He thinks she's a witch. She says, Albert, there's nothing really wrong with you. You're not dying. I think you'll be all right. Your eye pupils are a little dilated, but other than that, I think you're okay. You're not dying, you're okay. Here, have some milk. And so, you know, and he started like to chill out, you know, and was like, he was coming down, and he was like, whoa, I'm a chemist because back when I was a kid, I was out in the meadow and I looked around at all of the plants and the flowers and everything, and I said, they're all made of chemicals. I want to understand that. So he became a chemist. And that's why I put Paracelsus in his shoulder. Now this shows how a alchemical angel cries tears that go into the heart of Albert Hofmann, and there's a succession of 3 higher spiritual eyes that are touching him there in his third eye. There is an actual bicycle on the bicycle painting that was painted under the influence of LSD. The last thing that I did in January of 2006. Now, I have this little Nazi kind of demon kind of tugging on the thing because I always think of 1943 as wartime, and there is this presence that hovers about. And really, Hoffman held back. They held back this announcement of this use. They didn't start using it for any kind of chemical warfare or anything until MK Ultra here in the United States got hold of it. Anyway, I put Paracelsus in his shoulder because Paracelsus was the 500 years ago in the town of Basel, Switzerland, same town that Hoffman comes from. This was an alchemist who said that something needed to be discovered before the philosopher's stone could emerge. And he believed that something was chemistry. And so he was the founder of chemistry. And so I put him in Paracelsus' shoulder because I believe that LSD might be the alchemical gold there. So there's the alchemical angel, there's the lovers in the diamond spheres above, Aldous and Laura Huxley, the Maria Sabina and R. Gordon Wasson. I'm not going to go into all this. Timothy Leary, Ram Dass, Ralph Messner. Walter Pankey did an experiment. Leary was there, actually, and very helpful to them, at Marsh Chapel in '62, on April 20th, no less. Woo! Woo! I just realized that. Woo! Holy,
Marsh Chapel. Tell
holy.
what happened to Marsh Chapel.
Oh my God.
The Good
Good
Friday
Friday experiment on 4/20, ladies and gentlemen. The first mystical experiment with psychedelics that was scientifically based. They were divinity students, so they were spiritually inclined, and half of them were given blanks, basically nicotinamide, and half of them were given psilocybin. And pretty soon they figured out who had what, you know. And boy, there was a difference in their questionnaires about a mystical experience later, and there was about 65% of the people who had done psychedelics had a full-blown God contact, as they would say. A unity, transcendence of space and time, things like this, and a overall very positive affect. And so this is what he proved. And Stan Groff there with Giger, and I got to visit him, Stan Groff. He had this whole perinatal thing, BPM 1, 2, 3, 4, and these were the stages of birth. Really study this guy.
These were the stages of psychedelic therapy.
Yeah.
He was a psychedelic psychotherapist, like one of the first, and he came up with this birth perinatal matrix out of that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Keith Haring, a very psychedelic artist, and admittedly so. Psychedelic art started to come on the scene. Masters in Houston really helped us out with a beautiful early book. Richard Schultes was an early explorer of all the ethnobotanicals in Hoffman, and he got along quite famously. Terence McKenna, of course, our dear brother Terence. Steve Jobs, God bless him, you know, he was always willing to say that he had taken LSD and that it was an important, one of the most important things that he had ever done. So Jonathan Ott, one of the great authors and translators of Hoffman's work as well, and Reb Zalman Schachter Shalomi, who in the wake of his LSD awakening kind of created the Jewish renewal movement, and at least it was part of the fuel.
He's turning 90 this year.
Yes, awesome, awesome.
Reb Zalman Schachter Shalomi. He is so awesome.
Doc Ellis pitched a no-hitter in 1970 on acid. no-hitter. Okay, wow. You know, he said like he saw comet trails off of every ball, you know. Yeah, so anyway, it wasn't like it was his practice to trip and then play ball. It was like he had the day off. The other guy was going to pitch, but then he dropped some acid, and about an hour later, they call, and oh my God, you've got to come because the other guy, you can't, and what's he going to do?
Keep going, honey.
Yeah, okay. All right. Carrie Mullis, Nobel Prize winner. Anna and Sasha Shulgin, our heroes. We love them. Jimi Hendrix, Bobby Dylan, and the Grateful Dead. Oh God, oh John, we can skip John Paul. But these guys were mystics, you know? And, all right, Allen Ginsberg, Robert Crumb, Anais Nin, all of the, yeah, sorry. Watch out, you know? I mean, you dissolve your boundaries, but you also have to watch your shadows and admit them and integrate them. I put them in my paintings. The Yahe letters. So Spangle, you know, yay! Last year we had Simon here, and it was amazing. But this year, I love this year. Keith Haring, our dear psychedelic friend, Tool, yes. All right, yes. Our dear friends at Burning Man, the peak of visionary culture there. Happy birthday, Dr. Hoffman. He got to sign the back of it, thus making it a relic on his 100th birthday, no less. So thank you. And his family has bequeathed Entheon, our reliquary, the exhibition of his glasses. So we get to have and house the lenses through which he saw reality change. The day he made the medicine, and the day he rode the bicycle. So we are very thankful for the Hoffman gift. And so in honor of Dr. Hoffman, we say alienation from nature and the loss of the experience of being part of the living creation is the greatest tragedy of our materialist era. It's the causative reason for ecological devastation and climate change. Therefore, I attribute absolute highest importance to consciousness change. I regard psychedelics as catalyzers for this. They are tools which are guiding our perception toward other, deeper areas of our human existence, so that we again become aware of our spiritual essence. Psychedelic experience in a safe setting can help our consciousness open up to this sensation of connection and being one with nature. LSD and related substances are not drugs in the usual sense, but are part of the sacred substances, which have been used for thousands of years in ritual settings. The classic psychedelics like LSD, psilocybin, and mescaline are characterized by the fact that they are neither toxic nor addictive. It's my great concern to separate psychedelics from the ongoing debates about drugs and to highlight the potential inherent to these substances for self-awareness as an adjunct in therapy and for fundamental research into the human mind. It's my wish that a modern Eleusis will emerge in which seeking humans can learn to have transcendent experiences with sacred substances in a safe setting. I'm convinced that these soul-opening, mind-revealing substances will find their appropriate place in our society and our culture. Said April 19, 2007 by 101-year-old Albert Hoffman. Well, I was inspired by my LSD experiences, and my body of art kind of was modeled in the sacred mirrors around the experience of the universal mind lattice, where the light body becomes kind of out of physical body and more identified with a soul body, a light body that is beyond conventional space and time, but is a kind of interconnectedness of all of us in a love circuit, because the energy that's connecting all of us is love. And this was the pure stuff. And Allyson had the same experience, and she started making art that was based on that. You want to talk about that, Ben?
No, I think that, well, I see my symbol of that experience as a flying above the universal mind lattice. Like if you were going to look, universal mind lattice would be the perspective of a person. It's like the physical person. And then mine is more kind of looking at the suck holes and blowholes from the top.
The universal mind lattice, we call it.
Spectral, too.
Yeah.
So I always went for the spectral. And
they are beautiful. This is her one and many. And
well, the thing is, early on, I committed my work to 3 elements: chaos, order, and secret writing. And that came out of an LSD experience that essentialized my worldview. It was kind of like finding animal, vegetable, and mineral or something. To me, it was like everything in the universe was chaos, order, secret writing. Chaos being the material world where all things are falling apart. Everything is an entropy. Systems are breaking down. Order, the bliss realm. There's nothing, I created a symbol for that. There's nothing to, you have to only envision it in your mind. This world where we're all interconnected and made of light. And then there's secret writing, and secret writing is the manifesting that we do as humans. It comes in as divine thought, and it comes out as things. We make things. We make symbols. We're symbol-making machines. So anyway, I feel that comes between the chaos and the order. It comes from the divine and out into the material world, is the manifesting of things that we make, like artists, dancers, musicians, actors, people like that. So that's my work, and when I had that experience early on, I became committed to it, and I have made my work about that for 40-some years, have I not?
You certainly have. Chaos, order, and secret writing. It's the
conceptual art.
It's the language of creative expression, I like to think. And this we'll also have on exhibit at the Entheon and the Shulgin painting. And we like to honor Sasha. I think we'll be seeing them. And so, Anne and Sasha, we love you. That's what manifested from our MDMA experience was a vision that we were supposed to make the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors. And so we were about to sell them, actually. And
Sasha Shulgin was given the credit for being the godfather of ecstasy.
MDMA, yeah.
Now I did a portrait of it.
Right, this is the Shulgins and their alchemical angels, because many of the other synthetics that Sasha Shulgin, the great chemist and psychoactivist, and his wife Anne brought us a new synthesis of MDMA, which made it easier, and this is what they cradle in their hands there.
And in our first MDMA experience that we ever had, which was when MDMA was still legal and was used as a therapeutic drug, we had a simultaneous experience where we saw the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors. That was the first time that Alex and I both had the discussion that we had to build the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors, that would become our life's work. And it was at that very experience, and so so Alex honored him with the portrait.
Yep, so this was the first incarnation of the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors, and it was in New York City, in Chelsea, in the New York Art District. And it was on 27th Street, and it ran for 5 years, and it was really awesome. Lots of things happened there. This was what it looked like inside the, this was Dean Chamberlain's beautiful photograph of the interior and the angels there. Dr. Hoffman got to see it in book form, and we understood before he passed on. This is shortly before he died in 2008. And what archaeologists have begun to wonder was whether the cave painters were also tripping and then going into the caves because they can't explain all these paintings. Now, this is why visionary art and psychedelics have always gone together, you know? And you can see we're still a tribe that is identified with our artwork and with manifesting the visions of the inner world. And so this has been something that's been a prehistoric interest. And Terence McKenna was the first to call it the stoned monkey theory, that they were the ones that were had the greater advantage of the evolution of intelligence because they were seeing beyond others and they were taking invention and creating language. And so Adam and Eve could be thought of as dawn humans, and that the Kundalini serpent of wisdom is beckoning them toward their higher consciousness. The shamans were the ones that were taking the psychedelics, the sacramentals. And there's always this kind of underground current of sacrament in relationship to the religious icons. Göbekli Tepe, the oldest world temple, which is like 13,000 years old, has mushroom-like stones that must have supported the roofs. And in the caves, you'll see the mushroom beings. You can see they clearly have heads, and that there's dung of animals, and there's the mushroom. So we've got mushroom-headed beings. So you can see that anciently, sacramentally, humanity has been in contact with the mushroom. Now, in the foundation of Eastern civilization is in the sacrament. They talk about Soma in the Rig Veda, the world's oldest historic kind of spiritual tradition, which is Hinduism, over 6,000 years old. The Rig Veda talks about Soma, which really is an entheogen, a way that a sacrament can lead us to God contact. In the Western tradition, it's the same way, that the Greek culture, at the height of the Eleusinian mysteries, was imbibing the kykeon. Now this means like Plato and Socrates and all these folks were taking psychedelics at one special time, at the mystery rite. So this means that Eastern and Western civilization was founded on psychedelics. Yeah, I think that it's important for us all to realize that, you know, we feel demonized and everything by our association with psychedelics, but this is actually at the foundation of civilization, and as you see, potentially at the foundation of shamanic culture, of human culture, okay? So it's something of importance, and human sacrament has shown up, but it's been denied. And so now it's leaking back. Oh yeah, humanity's always had this connection with the sacrament. Why are we denying that? You know, if you, they called it, the Mayan, the Aztec called it the flesh of the gods, and they left a lot of totems in honor thereof. You know, and they left a lot of scrolls that said, you take the mushroom and the demons come, look out, you know. So, and look at that, like in Peru, like you got mushrooms for eyeballs. So this is dynamite psychedelic art, and it's hundreds and hundreds of years old. Maria Sabina, of course, is how we white people know about the magic mushroom that 1956 he let the world know through Life magazine. And this photograph that Maria Sabina was sharing, the psilocybin mushroom, which had been kept from people by the curandero and did in special ceremony. So Quetzalcoatl, Tojapili is the kind of prince of psychedelic sacraments and flowers, and has in this beautiful statue, which is at the Museum of Archaeology there in Mexico City, and I urge you to see it, it's amazing. he is in a state of bliss or ecstasy, and is also festooned with all these sacraments. So, and in the early caves, you had, in Tasahili, Algeria, you had this connection with the mushroom deity. So, you know, this is to reformat our psychic hard drive and just say, wait a minute, there's always been this connection. So you needn't feel shamed by it or something like that, you know? That it's actually a way that people have been connecting with the divine and with the world of the imagination for a long, long time. And over the world. And they have different ways in. Iboga, and you know, I'm not saying anything about this breaking open the head, amazing. Shipibo, the DMT that comes through the ayahuasca leads them to these song patterns that then they tattoo on their skins or their fabrics. And the great Peruvian shaman, Pablo Amaringo, who then became a painter and started a school down there as well, had this incredible relationship with his visions and with the beings that he was in relationship with in his healing work, and then portrayed them through his paintings. The Santo Daime has been growing in Brazil, and I think is part of what I call the green Jesus, the resacralizing or divinization of nature that happens from the tea, that is associated with the divine and the connection to the divine, a sacramental church. And Unio de Vegetal is one of these as well, and a very Christian church there in Brazil and in the United States as well. And so the psychedelic art is some of the great American art. You know, 100 years ago, this peyote vision was on buckskin, and it was psychedelic art. It was a mescaline vision. There's always been the Native American church who's had a relationship, a sacred relationship with the plants, and have made emblems that are evocative of that state. So that's why these works are evocative, and they carry that kind of vibration of the state in them. The WIKLE have used the peyote and weave those kinds of visions into their beadwork and into their yarn paintings, which are extraordinary about light. So I think that all of this is building visionary culture, because the great uplifting of humanity beyond its self-destruction is the redemptive mission of art. And the first, I think, to really capture that psychedelic visionary vibration was Ernst Fuchs. After he had done the peyote, and he had contacted this other dimension, and he had already trained with such skill, and his Mish technique has really spread throughout the world thanks to everyone, his students. And Matty Klarwein was one of the greats who was trained with Ernst and was a friend of his, and the great psychedelic artist who created the Olive Sanctuary. Really was inspirational to us in the chapel. Matty Klarwein here at Timeless, this piece. LSD art, before it was illegal, you know, was on the cover of Life magazine, you know, like, woo, LSD, hey, I do LSD art. Yeah, you're on the magazine, aren't you? Hey, you're famous. Well, you know, it didn't take long for it to become illegal, and for Woodstock to be the most amazing place where, good grief, hundreds of thousands of people were tripping at the same time. Now, that's a benchmark for humanity. Really. So, wow. No wonder a vibration has continued, you know. And the Boom Festival, which has been going on, and the people here like Carrie Thompson, whose stage is around here, or installation is around here, Android Jones, whose design this is for Boom, and Luke, and I know that Zavi and the whole visionary tribe has been involved, as well as the Azora Festival. So the Rainbow Gatherings, all these festivals all over the world. This one was in Brazil. Ecstatic Art turns on the collective light body. At Entheon, at Burning Man, David Best's temples, and Burning Man itself. Fractal Planet, probably the most visionary place on the planet. At Burning Man, the visionary tribe is out in force, and MAPS is here to help us tonight. Please, this is not the place to lose your mind, really. You know, be present and actually be deputized, you know, to watch out for each other. And to really hope that everybody does this in the right setting, at the best. And so really connect with tribe. And MAPS is one of the great ways of doing that. And Reality Sandwich, of course. Arrowhead is just one of the most incredibly important resources. And really because this is a movement that we have to recognize that and learn from the civil rights movement what was powerful then, what led to change, what has led to change with women's rights and gay liberation, because strides have been made. And I'm beginning to feel that entheogens are a civil right, because religious use of entheogens is mired in drug war rhetoric. It's an excuse to silence people who think differently. And entheogens, yes, good old Graham. The drug war is a war against higher consciousness and conscience, part of a greater corporate war against nature. And people who take entheogens are an oppressed minority. Really. And so the outlawing of plants that have long venerable religious traditional usage is anti-sacramental. The use of sacraments is a fundamental human right to cognitive liberty and a civil right to freedom of religion. Thus was ruled the Unio de Vegetal in 2006. So this will help us to sacralize nature, because environmental experts tell us we have very little time to shift. Entheogens heal souls and transform habits of consumption to turn around the eco-catastrophe in progress. Rowan Griffiths replicated what was found in the Good Friday experiment years and years later, after the 40 years of wandering in the desert of the psychedelic experiment. And at Johns Hopkins verified this again. 65% of those spiritually inclined in the right set and setting, the proper supportive set and setting. So there's Walter Pankey again. Arnold Toynbee said that really that every culture exists around a spiritual core. Every civilization is built around that. And that when a civilization starts to wander away from that spiritual core, then it starts to dissolve. And so he said at the end of his life that he studied like 27 different world civilizations, I guess, and he saw that, he said, that civilizations exist to give birth to better religions. So what would be the religion at the core of a planetary civilization? Because it can't kind of be one religion or another, you know. That'd be impossible to unite a world, a planetary civilization. So all would have to be honored. And what I was thinking was its creativity. Because creativity is something that's shared through all sacred traditions. and all means of expression are actually just creative expression. So it's what we do naturally. It's what's creators doing through us. You know, the mystics would say there's only one of us here, you know. So at any rate, so empowered at some level by the return of the sacrament and an actual connection with this mystical experience that is now confirmed by science. Not only ancient archaeologists are saying, oh, gee, they used to take mushrooms and make paintings and things. But, so what is religion? Because it's a scary word, people don't use it. 5 more minutes, all right. Religion, it's just, don't let the fundamentalists own that word, okay? Because it's understandable to say, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious, but if you could just incorporate the idea that at its primary religious experience was to link, to connect with the divine. It's the same, it's the mystical experience. The secondary religious experience is everything that happens after that. But the primary religious experience is what unites all of them. And at the heart of it was the visionary mystical experience, inevitably. And why visionary art matters, visionary mystical experiences are humanity's most direct contact with God and are the creative source of all sacred art and wisdom traditions. The best currently existing technology for sharing the mystic imaginal realms is a well-crafted artistic rendering by an eyewitness. And so I'm just going to say, yep, okay, she wants to talk to... These are our friends that are going to be part of the project and are here tonight and helping us out. And we love them all. Yeah. So I'm
some
just
of our favorite artists that we love.
Awesome artists that are just, they're blowing our minds with architecture as well as art and clothing soon as well. And and Chris and Android and Amanda, whose birthday it is tonight.
Amanda's going to teach a Cosm. You want to learn the Mish technique from the Maestre?
Or the Vienna School, where she also teaches with Mara Holden, who came to Cosm as well. There's young visionary artists that have visited, because artists like to work together. They experiment on collaborative works. This was Bicycle Day a few years ago, where artists worked together with, you did a partnership with
Vibrata. Yes, I collaborated with Vibrata Chromodoros. There's the bicycle parade.
And, you know, this happened today. This was Bicycle Day culture that happened today.
Alex, you are so up to date, darling. Can you believe that? You put that on.
The artist Michael Devine made a divine poster of this first annual event, and I hope that you'll all attend it, if you can, next year at Hippie Hill. Check it out.
Day. They ride the bicycle.
James Ora. Okay. Well, this was last year. You wanted to get to
yes,
FBI.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I know we love.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to tell you what's going on, because we want you to come up and visit us. You know, New York is a great pilgrimage. Everybody should see New York. It's fantastic. We love San Francisco. Come visit us up there in the Hudson Valley. There we are. We're having a fantastic center going on up there. It's a little bit of heaven right there, where we want you to come and join us, build a temple.
All right, Pantheon, this is what we're building. It's a place to discover the God within. It's a sculpted building, and it's going to exhibit the collection and a bunch of, it's going to have the evolution of consciousness knit into the structure and all these godheads. It's one God, it's one basic face, but going through all the different faiths. All right, so there it is.
This is going to be printed out.
Yeah.
3D printout. Oh,
Just,
there we are. There
just
we are.
like the stage.
Look at this.
Exactly.
My God, just like this.
And so this is how a lot of these structures are going to be made. It's still difficult, you know, and there's still stuff to design and things. And, but we know the people who are going to do this. When you come through the Vision Crystal into the Narthex Gallery, you will see the world's visionary artists. That's the stage that you're going to come into, this large atrium gallery.
So where are we along the path of this? We are closer than we've ever been. And where we are is, we're a few weeks away from the engineering drawings being done. When the engineering drawings are done, we start with cement block and steel. We create an armature for these sculptures to hang on. The interior will probably be done before the exterior. All the sculptures are on there. There we have our model. We were just there last week to see the models being made. Oh, look at that. See, it's going to hang on that armature of steel around the block building.
Thin, kind of concrete steel mesh brought together.
So we've been figuring this thing out.
Yeah. Someday we're going to build a chapel in the meadow there.
That's our second temple. Yep. That's going to be the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors.
Yep, cosm.org. Come check us out sometime.
Allyson at cosm.org. Write to us. We'd love to hear from you. Love to see you at a Cosm event. You can always count on us. We will be at the Cosm events. The full moons, the art church, the equinoxes, solstices, the celestial celebrations. Come and we'll be there. We love to see you in our own home environment. It's a little intimate and lovely. And we're just growing, you know. We're having tents this summer, so that's big. So we'll see you there.
We thank all the artists who have come out tonight and who are performing. And thank you all for coming here. And thank you.
Thievery Corporation's coming up with our very dear friend, Anthony Ward, Being with Flowers. You've got to see this guy dancing with flowers and Thievery Corporation. So they're coming up next.
Great.
Oh, huge faux pas on me. Thrift Works. Oh, please. I am such an idiot. Erase that blackboard right there. Thrift Works, my friends, are awesome. And I apologize, and I love them dearly. Anthony Ward, I've known for a million years, so you've got to love him. He's amazing. Thrift Works, new friends. I love you all.